It all started with a new face and a smirk that didn't sit right. My name's Tom Carver, and I own a small Vineyard just beyond the manicured lawns of Willow Creek Estates. My land's independent, free from the Homeowners Association that lords over the neighborhood. It's been that way since before the HOA existed, and I've fought tooth and nail to keep it that way. There's something about tending my VY-ness, watching the grapes ripen under the sun, that feels like freedom. No one tells me what to plant or how to paint my shed, and I like it just fine. Trouble rolled in with a guy named Carl Hensley. I first spotted him while trimming my Merlot VY-ness. He was tall, pushing 60, with a buzz cut and a jacket sporting a faded police patch. He strutted along the edge of Willow Creek like he owned the place, eyes scanning everything. At first, I thought he was just another nosy neighbor. Then I saw him stop a kid on a bike, demanding his name, grilling him about where he lived, threatening some kind of fine. A fine? For what? Word got around that Carl was a retired cop, 30 years on the force, and couldn't let go of the badge. Somehow, he clawed his way onto the HOA board as neighborhood watch coordinator. In reality, he was playing sheriff in a suburb. Things got weird fast. One morning, I caught Carl on my property line, binoculars trained on my workshop. "Just checking for safety," he said, like that made it normal. I stared him down, silent, until he shuffled off. A week later, a cop car pulled into my driveway. The officer looked embarrassed. "Got a call about a possible gun violation," he said. I pointed to my locked gun safe, barely VY-sible through a window if you squinted hard. He sighed, apologized, and left. 2 days later, another cruiser showed up, this time over a strong alcohol smell. I run a Vineyard, for God's sake. I started recording every encounter, rigged up more cameras, and braced myself for whatever was coming. Then Carl crossed the line. I was hauling barrels when he marched up my drive, clipboard in hand, like he was the IRS. "Need to inspect your buildings," he said. "Safety compliance." I slammed the barrel down. "You're not setting foot on my land, Carl. This isn't HOA territory. You got no power here." His jaw tightened, but I cut him off before he could argue. "Go back to your sidewalk and play cop somewhere else." He muttered something about non-compliance and left, but I knew this wasn't over. Carl wasn't just flexing. He was hunting. The next week felt like a cheap spy flick. I found an HOA camera on a utility pole, aimed at my gate. Then another, hidden in the trees. A third popped up, disguised as a wildlife tracker, pointed at my porch. I've got my own cameras, but this was different strangers watching me on my own land. Then a letter arrived, signed by Linda Prescott, the HOA's new president. It was a wordy mess, claiming my property was now part of their expanded safety zone due to its proximity to Willow Creek. It demanded cooperative compliance and routine assessments. My lawyer laughed it off, but I didn't. 2 HOA lackeys showed up the next day, tried to peek over my fence for an NVY environmental re-VY-EW. I met them at the gate. "You've got 5 seconds to leave, or you're part of my compost pile." They scurried off, but Carl kept lurking morning, noon, even after dark. My motion lights caught him more than once, his shadow lingering like he wanted me to know he was there. One night, I found boot prints just inside my fence. Deep, military-style treads. That same night, my power flickered and my network dropped for 10 minutes. When it came back, 2 cameras were offline, not glitched, disabled. The logs showed access attempts from a nearby Wi-Fi network. Guess who lived in range? I upgraded my security, added hardwired cameras, and set up an isolated server. Let them try again. This wasn't just a bored ex-cop. Carl thought he still wore the badge, and Linda's signature gave him a blank check. The harassment turned sinister. Flyers appeared overnight, screaming non-compliant property with a blurry photo of my gate. They accused me of unlicensed operations and hazardous materials, my wine barrels, I guess. My delivery guy asked if I was under investigation. Then the fire department showed up, tipped off about my outdoor oven being a wildfire risk. I showed them my stone dome, set far from anything flammable. The inspector shook his head. "This smells like a grudge." The next day, code enforcement arrived, claiming I was running an illegal winery. I pointed to my license, framed on the wall. They left baffled. This wasn't about violations. It was about breaking me. I'm no stranger to this game. I used to be a detective. Paperwork and pressure were my bread and butter. But this was bigger than Carl. A nervous HOA board member, Ethan, met me at the fence one night. "Carl's not alone," he whispered. "Linda's letting him run wild. He's got dirt on her, something financial." I pressed him. He overheard Carl threaten to expose Linda's shady project bids unless she backed him. That night, I spotted a figure in black near my shed. By the time I got there, they were gone, but they'd left a USB stick plugged into my camera. I scanned it on a secure laptop. Malware designed to hijack my feeds. That was it. I called my old PI buddy, Nate, and handed him everything: photos, logs, the USB. "Dig into Carl and Linda," I said. "This isn't just a power trip." The next clue came from a slick guy in sunglasses, while VYing a fake incident report at my gate. Signed by Carl and Linda, it called my land a community risk due to illicit substance sales. That night, I was hosting a small BB, friends, ribs, some wine. Nothing wild. Then 2 cop cars and a tactical van rolled up. Officers jumped out, one hand on his gun. My guest froze. I stepped forward, hands raised. "What's this?" "Someone call in a murder." The lead cop mumbled about a tip on illegal alcohol and drugs. I nearly laughed. "Unless you're here for the Cabernet, you've been played." Then I saw Mike Torres, an old colleague from my cop days, step out of the van. His eyes widened. "Tom, what the hell?" He shut down fast. Across the street, Carl watched from his SUV, arms crossed. Mike marched over. Words were exchanged, and Carl sped off, face red as a beet. I couldn't sleep that night. Carl was weaponizing his old police contacts, pulling real resources for his crusade. Worse, someone was protecting him. Nate dug into the sheriff, Dan Callahan, a local hero with 3 easy re-elections. "Carl and Callahan go way back," Nate said. "Same academy, old patrol partners." Callahan buried 4 complaints against Carl in his final years. That made Carl untouchable and dangerous. The HOA started calling me the adjacent threat in emails, even potential extremist. I filed a complaint with the sheriff's office, laying out the fake calls, cameras, and hacking attempts. Callahan's response? A curt email saying there was no misconduct. I forwarded it to my lawyer and stared at the HOA's camera across the road. If they wanted a fight, I'd give them one. I went public with a press conference outside the HOA's pristine community center, right after their monthly meeting. I sent my EVY Densa camera footage, the malware, Linda's letter to every resident, 2 council members, and 3 reporters. Standing at a podium, I laid it all bare. The surveillance, the false reports, the USB. Then I dropped the hammer. Bank transfers from the HOA's beautification fund to a shell company tied to Carl, approved by Linda. The camera's word. I played audio of Linda telling a board member to stay quiet or lose her seat. I showed a zoning map. VYing my land was outside their reach. The crowd erupted. By nightfall, 3 board members quit, and the HOA's inbox was swamped. The county launched an investigation into CIVYL overreach. But I wasn't done. With Nate's help and a fed-up judge, we got a warrant. We called it Operation Dawn. The state took over, sidelining Callahan's office. At sunrise, a task force raided Carl's house. They found surveillance logs on residents, illegal cameras in 2 homes, unregistered guns, a modified taser, and a map with my property starred in red. Carl was cuffed on the spot. Linda was nabbed, trying to skip town with a wiped phone. Callahan got a subpoena, his office sealed. The trial was a circus. Reporters crammed the halls, and someone sold mugs with my face on them. The judge ran a tight ship. EVY Denke piled up. Carl spy wall of camera feeds. Emails where Linda told him to make Tom look unstable. Ethan testified about Carl's blackmail. A mom sobbed, recounting how Carl harassed her son. I told my story, plain and true. The defense tried to paint me as a rebel. "I'm not in your community," I said. "That's the point." The jury took 3 hours. Carl got 24 years, Linda 18, plus restitution. The HOA was fined, audited, and dissolved. I got to law $200,000 in damages. 6 months later, my Vineyard was alive again. The new HOA, under court watch, focused on community, not control. I didn't join but spoke at meetings about property rights, nicknamed the guy who sued the suburb. I hung a sign by my gate, private property, cameras on, sheriffs by appointment. No HOA beyond this point. Ethan, now interim chair, laughed when he saw it. We toasted to the revolution under my arbor. The trial sparked bigger talks about HOA abuse, ex-cops playing V.Y. Gilani, and the line between authority and tyranny. I used the money to rebuild my fence, expand my shed, and start a workshop, Know Your Land, which sold out fast. That October, we threw a harvest festival, no permits, no clipboards, just neighbors and wine. Someone called for a toast. I stood on a hay bale, cup raised. To fences that protect, not DVY. To rules that serve, not control. To neighbors, not deputies. The cheers echoed as the sun sank, my land glowing golden. It wasn't just home, it was proof. So what do you think? Should HOAs have any power over nearby properties? Or is that just asking for trouble? Can ex-cops ever let go of the badge? Or do they always crave control? And how far would you go to protect your land from a bully with a clipboard? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories like this.